Let's bring in Hollywood divorce attorney David Glass for more on this. David.
People going through divorces are going through some of the hardest times of their lives, and a lot of what they're going through is emotional. And in any divorce, there's a huge sense of loss, and loss of relationship, of money, some friends.
Hi, this is David Glass, and this is the Hourglass Podcast, where family law and psychology intersect. With us today is Sara Jane Ho, the founder of China's first etiquette school, the Institute Sarita, host of the daytime Emmy-nominated Netflix series Mind Your Manners, and a regular fixture on the Drew Barrymore Show. And to say that she's worldly is no understatement. Sara Jane has lived in New Guinea, the UK, Hong Kong, and she eventually made her way to the United States to attend Phillips Exeter and Georgetown, and eventually Harvard Business School. Not too shabby. She currently divides her time between Shanghai, Hong Kong, New York, and London. Today, Sara Jane is going to talk to us about her new blockbuster, Mind Your Manners. It's a book that offers etiquette in everything from what side of the napkin to wipe your mouth on to how to deal with sticky situations with your siblings. Now, Sara Jane has agreed to answer a whole list of questions on how to have good manners with your ex, either during your divorce process or immediately after. So let's get to it.
Hi, David.
Well, hi, good morning. How are you?
Good morning.
Good morning. Where are you calling from?
I'm calling in from 57th and 5th Street.
Okay, so it's already afternoon, but morning here, close enough.
Well,
thanks so much for agreeing to be part of the podcast.
No, thank you for having me. I'm really honored. So thank you for the opportunity.
What is the proper etiquette for how to introduce the need for the talk? If you are thinking about breaking up or getting divorced, is there a proper way to bring up the topic?
Absolutely. I mean, difficult conversations is a critical, knowing how to have a good, difficult conversation is a critical skill that everybody needs to learn. And even I myself, I had to learn it. I'm a graduate of Harvard Business School, and one of my favorite books actually is How to Have Difficult Conversations. Right. And it's something that I teach in my etiquette school to my ladies, because my etiquette school is for women, adult women. And I like to follow this sort of, it's a short step process, but the first step of the ladder of inference is to say, these are the facts. This is what happened, whatever you did, right, that upset me. The step 2 is how I interpreted it. Step 3 is how it made me feel. Right. And then step 4 is to always say, but, I mean, what's your perspective? Why did you do that? Because everybody has a different perspective, because everybody has different upbringings. Yeah. And it's important in a difficult conversation to focus on yourself and how you're unhappy or you can't handle this anymore, as opposed to coming out and saying, you're a bad person, you always do this, right? Those are counterproductive things.
Yeah. Right. And I remember reading maybe on the jacket of your book or something that it's that you look at etiquette not so much as which fork or which set of chopsticks to use or which plate or those sorts of things, but more about how to make people comfortable when you're talking to them, how to bring them in and how you can talk to anyone.
Absolutely. People have a very outdated view of etiquette. They think it's one big don't, that it's limiting, it's restricting, that you can't be your true self, you can't say what you feel. And so people will regularly come up to me and say, oh, I have terrible etiquette. I'm too honest to have good etiquette. And to me, that's missing the point of etiquette entirely. Etiquette is actually one big do. It empowers you to go speak to the person you want to speak to, form the relationships you want to form, set the boundaries that you want to set, right? How to say no. It's just all about how you do it, how you deliver it. So that style of delivery. And I like to say that etiquette is really about putting other people around you at ease, which in turn makes you feel at ease around them. And that goes back to the sense of belonging, which is what makes us human.
Right. Right. So taking that one step further, if you feel the need to get divorced, you've decided that you want out of a marriage for whatever reason, what's the best way to to bring up that topic? I'd hope it wouldn't be text or email. I'm assuming it isn't, but if you're going to sit down with them, is there a good way to bring up the topic?
Yeah. Well, you know, it's actually funny because when my Netflix show, Mind Your Manners, came out, I had a New York Times style profile on me. And I mean, they covered me for a couple of days, but they made, of course, the clickbait title was "The Etiquette Guru Who Broke Up with Her Boyfriend Over Text." And he was a 4-year boyfriend. And actually, I talk about it in my book and sort of the open, how that title, it made me cringe, but then I came to embrace it. And listen, breaking up, it's like etiquette is contextual.
Mm-hmm.
So are breakups, right? I mean, maybe that other person, when people divorce, we don't really know why. They know why. Maybe they're in an abusive relationship. Maybe the other person is cheating. Maybe they feel that they can't be their true selves with this person, right? And so I feel that if it's in a situation where your safety is in danger, then that's one way. But if it's something where you're just not happy, or maybe you fell in love with someone else and you want to leave this marriage, then that's, you know, the other end of the spectrum.
Right.
So how you approach it would really depend on the context. Generally speaking, people are not that blindsided. But I would say, first and foremost, make sure that you're protected, especially if you're in an abusive relationship. So what does that mean? That involves making sure that your valuables or that your ID, right, and all those things are in a safe place, that maybe you shouldn't be doing it alone, one-on-one, if this person has a history of physical abuse. Maybe you should be doing it in a public place. But, you know, I think the most important thing is a divorce is very sad, because when people agree to marry, you marry on the prospect of a promise and of a hope. And you should give a breakup the emotion it deserves, which is sadness, because it's the end of a close, and to still maintain respect for the other person as much as you can.
Good points. An excellent point about the safety issue, and when a text or an email probably is the best way to break up with someone who you're not comfortable with,
or who's not taking no for an answer. Right? Maybe that person's in
right.
denial.
Right, and then you just have to cut yourself off from that person. Now, if you are getting divorced and you have children together, I'm assuming that comes with a whole new set of etiquette. So, for example, if you have young children and it was your habit to buy your soon-to-be ex-spouse gifts on behalf of the children, do you continue with that, or do you set up a new scheme?
I think that you have to decide when you divorce what your pre-divorce life looked like. And I think it's important to write out lists, like what you want to stay the same, and what you want to change. And what you want to stay the same, maybe you both show the same amount of love to your kids, right? Maybe you don't talk badly about the other parent in front of the children, right? And then when you think about what you want to change, maybe, you know, you're no longer going to be spending a lot of time with your ex-spouse, or maybe you don't show up to events together, right? Depending, I mean, this is very personal. It's based on what you're comfortable with.
Yeah.
The worst thing is when I hear parents who are unhappy say, the kids are really young, we're going to wait until they go to college before getting a divorce.
Right.
That is probably the worst thing for everybody, especially your children, because children are not dumb, especially in this day and age.
Yeah.
They can sense the toxic negative energy and I mean, and when they see a parent unhappy, like that, then you're conditioning your child to think that I need to stay unhappy when if I, you know, ever encounter the situation in the future as well. So to me, if you parted on good ways, and listen, your ex-spouse is going to be in your life forever because you've shared children together.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have it as amicable as possible. And when it's their birthday, get them a gift.
Sure. But your point about staying in a relationship for the children is one of the biggest falsehoods about maintaining a relationship. Because if you're not happy, the kids know. And I like to say divorce is an opportunity for you to go out and meet the right person, the person that you do get along with, the person that you do click with, and to show your children what a real relationship looks like, a real positive relationship.
Absolutely. And I think especially for women, most women I know who leave unhappy relationships, you really see them soar after that, right? They're studying, so they're getting a new degree, they're,
Yeah.
reconsidering their life, they're going after goals, and you just feel uninhibited.
Getting back to the gift idea, here's a question I've always had is if your ex buys you a gift and you don't want it, you don't want to exchange gifts, is there a polite way to refuse it, or do you just accept the gift?
Here's what you do. You accept the gift, but then you re-gift it. Because let's say you are a man and your ex-wife buys you a gift, especially let's say it's a personal item like a bathrobe or something. Does your new girlfriend really want to see you traipsing around the house wearing a bathrobe that your ex-wife gave? No. But at the same time, you don't want to cause fuss. You don't want to cause drama. So you just accept it and then re-gift to one of your guy friends.
Excellent advice. That's when I moved out, I was divorced 15 or so years ago. I've been remarried for 14 years. I moved out with no furniture, nothing other than my clothes. I was just foreseeing the day that my wife wasn't going to want to sit on a couch or sleep in a bed that someone else did previously in my life.
Yes. And even from a feng shui perspective, I grew up in Hong Kong with Eastern concepts, Eastern medicine. And in feng shui, it's important. I've always thrown out or donated gifts that I received from exes because you've moved on and you don't want that energy in your home and in your life.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, I'm going to change the focus to if you're going through a divorce and you have to go to court, is there a proper way to dress if you're going into a formal court proceeding?
Respectfully. So I would even say, I mean, when you're going to court proceeding, and I assume you're trying to fight for your kids, right? You want to be seen as the more responsible parent. So you want to appear like you're a responsible parent. That is, nothing sloppy, nothing too casual, nothing too sexy. And navy is the best color to go for because navy inspires trust.
Excellent. I'm gonna clip this part of the podcast. I'm gonna send it to all my clients. I always have a hard time telling them what they should wear. Sometimes one of my female colleagues will talk to them about how to dress, but that put it nice and simply, and sticking with navy. Absolutely. Now, what about if you are going to mediation? So as opposed to going to court to litigate, you are going into a situation where you have a neutral third party who's going to help you, the two of you, reach some sort of agreements. Is there a different way to dress?
So in mediation, it's a bit more amicable than being in court. And so I mean, navy is still always good, but I would maybe even go with lighter colors, not too bright, but at least nothing too dark and nothing too somber. Because mediation is positive.
Right.
Mediation means you're both looking for a brighter outcome, an optimistic future. And those are the colors that I would go with. I would still wear structured. So for example, like, this blazer is structured because that shows strength and you want to be mediating from a position of strength. I would not choose loose clothes or silk clothes that kind of drape off of you that are just have no formal structure. So I would go with structured, light colored clothing.
Excellent. I mean, I once had a situation where I was bringing a client to court to get a restraining order against her former boyfriend who was acting abusive. And I said, I sort of gave her general advice, just dress appropriately. And the problem was she came in an all white catsuit and to go to court. And I said, why'd you wear that? And she said, well, white implies purity. And I don't think the judge got that impression from the all white catsuit.
Oh, that is something that wouldn't even cross my radar, but that's very creative.
Yeah, interesting way to think. All right, if you happen to find yourself at a restaurant with your ex-spouse, maybe you're meeting to talk about the progress of the kids, or maybe you're still dealing with how to divide up the last few 401ks or something. Is there an etiquette to where you meet, what kind of meal you share, or even who pays for it?
Yeah, I would say you want to go somewhere quiet where you two can actually have a conversation that shows it's serious. But I would not choose anywhere romantic, and definitely not dinner. I would do lunch,
Right.
breakfast, or even lunch, right? Because this is business, right? This is
Right.
the business of your family.
Mhm.
And you don't want one thing to lead to another. Definitely do not order wine, because
Right.
that's when you make bad judgment, bad
Right.
decisions. Last thing you want to do is fall into the arms of your ex-spouse again, who you left for a good reason.
Right.
So those would be my tips.
Excellent. And then following up on that, that idea, are there sort of rules or procedures for remaining cordial with your ex, but not giving them the impression that reconciliation might be possible?
Yes. I would avoid texting or responding to messages or texting late at night.
Mm-hmm.
I would have a cutoff, maybe 8 p.m.
Right.
Because once you get into late night texting, 9, 10, 11 p.m., that's after hours, and that's quite intimate.
Right.
So keep communication to the daytime.
Mm-hmm.
And in Chinese, we have a phrase called 保持汤碗的距离, which is you want to maintain the distance of a soup bowl. And I actually also have this saying in my book as well.
Yeah.
Which is that you want to maintain, you want to be cordial, but you don't want to be too close, and you want to maintain the distance of, if you carry the soup bowl over to them, that it doesn't it stays warm, but it doesn't go cold.
Okay. Great. It's great imagery. That's easy to remember that way. What about your in-laws, your former in-laws? Maybe you used to be close with your mother-in-law and father-in-law. Is there a right way or a wrong way, or is it just very personal whether you remain connected to these people?
If you have children, you should, because they are grandparents to your children.
Right.
If no, then God gave you a reason to not stay in touch.
Okay. Now, what if your ex shows up to pick up the kids to your house, and they've brought along their new partner, their new lover, their new girlfriend or boyfriend? Do you invite that person in? Do you leave them on the threshold? What do you do?
It depends on your relationship with your ex. If you're very friendly or you're cordial with your ex, and maybe you have your own partner too now, right? And you're completely over your previous relationship where you feel indifference. Usually the highest form of the highest symbol that you've moved on is indifference. Mm-hmm. So if you're completely indifferent, that means you're comfortable with it. And hey, if they traveled far and wide to pick up the kids, then yeah, invite them in for a coffee, let them use the restroom. Don't make it too long. But of course, I mean, if you're not on good terms, or if you don't like the other person, you're not obligated at all. But you should at least say hello, because that's good manners. And
Right.
If you hide, if you ignore them, if anything, then that shows you as that shows that they have power over you, actually, because it shows that they get to you. And do you really want your ex-spouse's new partner to think that they get to you? No.
Right. Right. What about dating friends of your ex? This the topic hasn't come up in a million years for me, but it came up in college. Can you date the friend of someone you used to date?
Oh, this is touchy. It depends on, and this does happen quite regularly. I think if you do, and it depends how close that friend is to you. If it's just an acquaintance, but if it's a friend who, let's say, you will get lunch one-on-one with, or dinner one-on-one with, or meet up one-on-one with, then you actually do need to let them know.
Right.
As a courtesy.
Right. All right. Now, in your book chapters, you have book chapters about relationships and dating and family. What are the most important manners that you think readers should practice?
Ooh, my favorite one is smiling upon eye contact. Now, of course, we have to be contextual. This is really more for the States. For example, you don't want to smile upon eye contact on the subway in Paris.
Right.
That would be creepy. In America, if you're within your community, let's say your office, your school, your compound where you live in, or a regular coffee shop that you go to, whenever you make eye contact with another human being, you really should just smile. And it's incredible how, I mean, the smile is such a powerful etiquette tool to make friends, to make people remember you, to make people like you because they think that you like them, and it's completely free. So, and what a smile can bring, it's a universal language. Even babies, before they speak, they know, they can understand a smile.
Right.
So the power of a smile and what it can do to another person to lift someone up is, it's very beautiful. Sometimes people are afraid of smiling at other people because we're worried, will they smile back? Will they think we're weird? What if they don't smile back? Well, you know what? If they don't smile back, it actually means there's something wrong with them. Maybe
Sure.
they're having a bad day. Maybe they're probably insecure. They're probably an unhappy person. It has nothing to do with you. You just have to remember that.
Great words of advice. All right. So how can our audience members get Mind Your Manners? Where, when, how?
Well, the book, Mind Your Manners, How to Be Your Best Self in Any Situation, is already available for pre-order online. And you can also support your independent bookstore by ordering it in addition to the big, retailers. But, I put a lot of my heart and soul, my learnings, my mistakes, my anecdotes, pro tips, Q&A are all in this book. It's structured across 5 chapters. So we have social, law, so dating and relationships, family, career, food and travel. Very, very handy tool for life.
That's great. And thanks so much for joining us today and answering my odd and sometimes random questions about divorce. You handled them all with the class and evenness that we'd expect from an etiquette expert. It was great talking to you.
Thank you very much, David.